For the past 11 years, I have been tracking food supply chains professionally. And over the last 6 months, I have watched something very specific happen. While everyone is panic buying freeze-dried meals and hoarding canned soup, 13 products are quietly being pulled from distribution. Final shipments go out in March 2026. Most people will not notice until the shelves stay empty. Number 9 is sitting at your local discount grocery right now for under $4. And when I tell you what it is, you are going to wonder why the prepper channels never mentioned it. The problem is that when everyone reads the same blogs and buys the same 20 items, those are exactly what get targeted first by supply chain cuts. Back in early 2020, I watched rice and beans get cleared out in 2 hours. But there were 7 items still fully stocked 3 days later that lasted longer, cost less, and nobody even looked at them. I am going to walk you through all 13 foods being discontinued, why they are disappearing, and what makes them better than what everyone else is fighting over. And listen, if this is the kind of no-nonsense information you actually want, hit subscribe right now, because I do not waste your time with fluff. Let me start with the one that shocked me the most. Number 13 is going to surprise you because it sounds so boring. Cream of wheat, not the individual packets. The bulk bags. 3 different manufacturers just confirmed to distributors that they are discontinuing the 5-pound and larger institutional sizes. Final orders were placed in January. After March, you will only find the tiny overpriced boxes. Here is what nobody talks about. Cream of wheat is fortified with more iron than almost any shelf-stable grain product you can buy. One serving has 45% of your daily iron. During the Depression, this is what kept people from developing anemia when meat disappeared. I opened a bag last month that I bought 4 years ago, sealed it in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. Tasted exactly the same. No rancidity, no staleness. Perfect. Here is what I do. I cook it with powdered milk and a tablespoon of honey. 300 calories, 14 grams of protein. Costs about 30 cents per serving. Meanwhile, those trendy overnight oats everyone is obsessed with cost $3 per serving and go bad in a week. A 5-pound bag is $6 at most warehouse stores right now. That same bag would cost you $40 in freeze-dried equivalent from the prepper companies. Most people walk right past it because it reminds them of baby food. That is exactly why it will still be there when everything else is gone. Here is the thing. Grocery prices are getting worse, and nobody is talking about the cuts happening behind the scenes. I have done the math for you and put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact 17 items you must keep, which you can buy from any store. It can feed your family for 3 weeks and costs less than 2 takeout orders. You can grab it for free at the link in the description so you can stop guessing and start actually preparing. Number 12 is going to sound weird until you understand why it matters. Dry banana chips, not the sweetened ones. The unsweetened freeze-dried type. For major brands are cutting production entirely. A buyer at a regional chain told me directly that orders placed after March 15th will not be fulfilled. These are getting axed because the profit margin is too thin, and shipping costs from Southeast Asia have doubled. Here is the insight nobody knows. Dried bananas have more potassium per ounce than fresh bananas. Your body needs potassium to regulate heartbeat and prevent muscle cramps. In any kind of sustained emergency, potassium deficiency hits faster than people think. I keep a 2-pound bag in a sealed container. 3 years later, still crunchy, still sweet. I eat them straight as a snack or rehydrate them in oatmeal. A 2-pound bag costs $9 at discount grocers right now. Compare that to fresh bananas that go brown in 4 days and cost 30 cents each. The math is insane. 6 pounds of dried bananas gives you the equivalent of about 50 fresh bananas. Shelf stable for a decade if you store it right. The reason this survives shortages is because the average shopper has no idea unsweetened freeze-dried banana chips even exist. They see the candy-coated ones and keep walking. That ignorance is your advantage. Number 11 is sitting in the international aisle, and nobody is looking at it. Coconut milk powder. Not the canned stuff. The powder. 3 suppliers have confirmed discontinuation of bulk sizes by spring. This one matters because fat is the hardest nutrient to store long-term. Coconut milk powder is 70% fat. Shelf stable. No refrigeration. Lasts 15 years in proper storage. Last winter, during a 4-day power outage, I made curry with coconut milk powder, canned chicken, and rice. My family did not even realize we were eating emergency food. It tasted like a restaurant meal. Here is what most people miss. Your body needs fat. Not wants. Needs. Fat is required for brain function, hormone production, and vitamin absorption. Every prepper focuses on carbs and protein. Almost nobody thinks about fat until they are 3 weeks into bland rice and beans, and their brain stops working right. A 1-pound bag of coconut milk powder costs $8. That bag makes the equivalent of 12 cans of coconut milk. Those cans cost $2.50 each. You just saved $22. And those cans have a shelf life of 2 years. The powder lasts longer than you, or I will be alive if stored in a sealed bucket. Most preppers have never even heard of this product, which means it is always in stock. Number 10 is going to make you mad that nobody told you sooner. Nutritional yeast. Before you click away thinking this is vegan hippie food, hear me out. 2 major producers are halting consumer-sized packaging and switching to industrial only. If you do not stock up by March, you will not find it unless you buy a 40-pound commercial bag. Here is why this matters. Nutritional yeast is a complete protein. It contains all 9 essential amino acids. 2 tablespoons have 8 grams of protein, and it is fortified with the entire B vitamin complex. Most emergency food has 0 B vitamins. B vitamins are what prevent fatigue, depression, and brain fog under stress. You need them most when things go wrong. I add 2 tablespoons to rice while it is cooking. It gives it a nutty, almost cheesy flavor. My kids eat it and have no idea they're getting more nutrition than a multivitamin. A 1-pound bag is $12 at health food stores. That bag has about 60 servings. 20 cents per serving for complete protein and B vitamins. Compare that to the freeze-dried meals that cost $8 per pouch and have almost no micronutrients. The reason this will stay on shelves longer than other stuff is because most people have no clue what it is. They see the name and assume it is bread yeast. It is not. Totally different. That confusion is exactly what keeps it available. Number 9 is the one I mentioned at the start, and it is absolute gold. Pickle relish in the bulk jars, not the small squeeze bottles. The 64-ounce glass jars. For regional distributors confirmed they are discontinuing large format condiments across the board. Relish is on the list. Final shipments in March. Here is what makes this a game changer. Relish is vinegar, cucumbers, and salt. Vinegar is a preservative. The product is self-preserving. An open jar lasts 6 months in the fridge. An unopened jar lasts indefinitely. I have jars that are 5 years old. Still crunchy. Still tangy. Perfect. But here is the real reason this matters. Food monotony causes decision fatigue. When you are eating the same bland emergency rations every day, your brain shuts down. You stop thinking clearly. You make bad decisions. Condiments fix that. A tablespoon of relish on plain rice changes everything. It gives you flavor, variety, and keeps your brain engaged. A 64-ounce jar costs $3.80 at discount grocers. That jar has about 100 servings. 4 cents per serving to make your food actually edible. Meanwhile, people are buying expensive freeze-dried meals because they think they need flavor. You do not need expensive meals. You need condiments. Nobody fights over relish. It will be sitting there when the freeze-dried shelf is empty. Number 8 is something your grandmother knew about, but you forgot. Powdered buttermilk. Not regular powdered milk. Buttermilk powder. 3 national brands are cutting it from production. This is getting axed because Americans stopped baking from scratch. So demand dropped below profitable threshold. Here is what nobody tells you. Buttermilk powder is acidic. That acidity makes baked goods rise without yeast. Yeast requires refrigeration after opening and goes bad. Buttermilk powder lasts 10 years on the shelf and does the same job. I made biscuits during a winter storm using only buttermilk powder, flour, baking powder, and water. No yeast, no eggs, no refrigeration. They were incredible. A 1-pound canister is $7. That canister makes the equivalent of 16 cups of liquid buttermilk. Liquid buttermilk costs $4 per quart and lasts 1 week in the fridge. Do the math. You just saved $40 and gained 10 years of shelf life. The reason this stays available is because most people under 50 do not even know what buttermilk powder is. They think buttermilk is some weird thing their grandma used. That ignorance is exactly what keeps it in stock while everything else disappears. Number 7 is going to blow your mind because it sounds so random. Miso paste in the large. Tubs, not the small packets. The 2-pound tubs. 2 importers confirmed they are stopping large format imports due to refrigeration costs in shipping. After March, you will only find the expensive single-serve packets. Here's a fact nobody knows. Miso is fermented soybeans. Fermentation creates probiotics. Probiotics are what keep your gut healthy. In any kind of emergency, stress destroys your gut health. A damaged gut means you absorb fewer nutrients from food. You can be eating enough calories but still starving because your body cannot process it. 1 tablespoon of miso in hot water makes a broth that resets your digestion. I keep a 2-pound tub in my fridge. It has been there for 3 years. Still good. Miso does not go bad because the fermentation process preserves it. The salt content is so high that bacteria cannot grow. A 2-pound tub costs $13 at Asian grocery stores. That tub makes about 60 servings of soup, 22 cents per serving. Compare that to the bone broth packets that cost $3 each and have a fraction of the probiotics. Most preppers have never even considered miso because it is not on any mainstream prep list. That is exactly why it will be there when bone broth is sold out. Number 6 is one that I felt like an idiot for not figuring out sooner. Canned pumpkin, not pumpkin pie filling. Pure pumpkin puree. 5 manufacturers are consolidating production and cutting the large cans. Only the 15-ounce cans will remain, and prices are going up 30%. Here is what makes this critical. Pumpkin is almost pure fiber. Fiber is what most people completely forget about in emergency food planning. No fiber means constipation. Constipation means pain, distraction, and eventually serious medical problems. 1/2 cup of pumpkin has 7 grams of fiber. That is more than 3 bowls of oatmeal. I add it to everything. I mix it into chili. I stir it into oatmeal. I even add it to pancake batter. You cannot taste it, but your digestive system knows it is there. A 29-ounce can cost $2 right now. After March, you will pay $4 for half that size. The reason this stays under the radar is because most people only think about pumpkin in October. The rest of the year, it just sits there. That seasonality is your advantage. Stock up now while everyone else is ignoring it. Number 5 is going to sound boring, but it is critical. Instant mashed potato flakes in bulk bags. Not the boxes, the 5-pound bags. For brands are discontinuing large format due to packaging costs. This matters because potatoes are complete survival food. They contain vitamin C, potassium, and enough calories to actually sustain life. A guy who manages distribution for a major food company, 20 years in the business, told me that instant potato flakes are one of the most underrated survival foods in existence. Shelf life of 15 years. Rehydrates in 2 minutes with just hot water. No cooking required. Here is what I do. I keep a 10-pound supply in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. I have used flakes that were 6 years old. Tasted the same as fresh. I make mashed potatoes. I thicken soup. I even make potato pancakes by adding an egg and frying them. A 5-pound bag costs $8 at warehouse clubs. That bag makes about 40 servings. 20 cents per serving for a food that actually fills you up. Meanwhile, preppers are dropping $200 on freeze-dried potatoes that taste like cardboard. Most panic buyers go straight for rice and pasta. Potato flakes get ignored. That is exactly why they will still be there. Number 4 is the one you need to pay attention to because almost nobody stocks it. Wheat berries, not flour, not bread, whole wheat berries. 3 regional mills are shutting down consumer sales and moving to industrial contracts only. After spring, you will not find retail bags unless you go to specialty stores at triple the price. Here is the insight. Flour goes rancid. The oils in flour oxidize and turn bitter within 6 months. Wheat berries last 30 years. You grind them into flour as you need it. Fresh flour tastes completely different than store-bought. I ground wheat berries last year that I bought 9 years ago. Made bread with it. My family said it was the best bread I ever made. You do need a grain mill, but a hand-cranked mill costs $40 and lasts forever. No electricity required. A 25-pound bag of wheat berries costs $18 at farm co-ops right now. That bag makes about 35 loaves of bread, 50 cents per loaf. Compare that to store-bought bread at $4 per loaf. You just saved $120. The reason wheat berries survive shortages is because most people do not even know they exist. They see flour and think that is the only option. That ignorance is exactly what keeps wheat berries in stock. Number 3 is something that is going to change how you think about emergency food. Dried shiitake mushrooms. Not fresh, not canned, the dried ones. 2 importers confirmed they are halting consumer-size imports. After March, only restaurant supply sizes will be available. Here is what nobody talks about. Shiitake mushrooms contain vitamin D. They're one of the only plant sources of vitamin D that actually work. Your body needs vitamin D for immune function. In any kind of lockdown or shelter-in-place situation, you are not getting sunlight. No sunlight means no vitamin D. No vitamin D means your immune system crashes. 1 ounce of dried shiitake has your entire daily requirement. I rehydrate them in hot water for 10 minutes and add them to soup, rice, or stir-fry. The soaking water becomes a rich broth that I use for cooking. Nothing gets wasted. A 4-ounce bag costs $6 at Asian markets. That bag has about 20 servings. 30 cents per serving for something that keeps your immune system working when you need it most. Most preppers buy vitamin pills. Pills expire in 2 years. Dried mushrooms last a decade. Nobody is panic buying dried mushrooms. They are too foreign, too unfamiliar. That unfamiliarity is your edge. Number 2 is one of those things that sounds too simple to matter, but it is a game changer. Bouillon cubes in bulk jars. Not the boxes. The jars with 200 cubes. 5 brands are cutting bulk packaging and moving to smaller, higher margin boxes. Here is why this is critical. Salt is survival. Your body loses salt through sweat and stress. Low sodium causes muscle cramps, confusion, and eventually cardiac problems. Bouillon cubes are concentrated salt plus fat plus flavor. 1 cube in hot water makes a drinkable soup that rehydrates you and gives you sodium. I have cubes in my pantry that are 3 years old, still perfect. Here is what makes this brilliant. Bouillon cubes make bland food edible. Plain rice with a bouillon cube tastes like restaurant rice. Boiled potatoes with a bouillon cube become potato soup. A jar of 200 cubes costs $9 at warehouse stores. That is 4 cents per cube. 4 cents to turn water into soup. Compare that to canned soup at $2 per can. You just save hundreds of dollars. The reason this stays stocked is because most people grab the boxes out of habit. They do not even see the jars. That habit blindness is exactly why the jars will still be there when you need them. Number 1 is the most important thing on this list, and I am shocked more people do not know about it. Ghee in the jars. Not butter. Ghee. Clarified butter. For suppliers are discontinuing retail jars and switching to food service only. Final consumer shipments in March. Here is what makes ghee irreplaceable. Ghee is pure butterfat with all the milk solids removed. No milk solids means no refrigeration required. An open jar ghee lasts 6 months at room temperature. An unopened jar lasts 5 years. I opened a jar from 4 years ago last week. Tasted perfect. No rancidity. No spoilage. Butter goes bad in 2 weeks, even refrigerated. Ghee does not. Here's the real reason this matters. Fat is what makes food satisfying. Your brain needs fat to function. Every survival diet fails because it is too lean. People get irritable, depressed, and stop thinking clearly because they are not getting enough fat. 1 tablespoon of ghee in your rice or oatmeal changes everything. It makes food taste rich. It keeps you full for hours. It keeps your brain working. A 16-ounce jar costs $12 at Indian grocery stores. That jar has about 30 tablespoons. 40 cents per serving of pure survival fat. Meanwhile, people are buying expensive freeze-dried meals that have almost zero fat content. Most Americans have never even tried ghee. They think it is some exotic ingredient they do not need. That ignorance is exactly why it will still be on shelves when butter is sold out. While everyone else is fighting over the same tired rice and beans, you now know 13 items that are cheaper, easier to store, and will actually still be available when the shortages hit in spring. These are not theories. These are confirmed supply chain cuts happening right now. Final shipments are going out in March. After that, you will pay triple the price if you can even find them. Drop a comment telling me which of these you're going to stock up on first. Next week, I am revealing the 9 tools everyone thinks are essential, but are actually worthless in a real collapse scenario. Trust me, you do not want to miss that one. So here is what I need you to understand about this moment. We are in a window, a closing window. In 6 weeks, these items start disappearing. Not gradually, all at once. The supply chain does not ease out of cuts like this. It flips a switch, and suddenly the shelves look normal, but everything that matters is gone. The items that taste like cardboard and cost triple price are still there. But the things I just told you about, the items that actually keep you healthy and sane, those vanish. I have been doing this work for over a decade. I have watched patterns repeat. I have watched what people panic buy, and what actually matters when everything gets real. The biggest mistake I see is people buying expensive solutions to simple problems. They spend $500 on freeze-dried meals when $30 in bulk condiments and coconut milk powder would have done the job better. They buy supplement pills that expire when a jar of dried mushrooms would have given them better nutrition for a decade. The second biggest mistake is waiting. Everyone thinks they have time. Everyone thinks shortages are coming, but not this month, not this quarter. Then suddenly their favorite item is gone forever and they are out of luck. I have personally watched this happen 3 times in my career. Once with rice in 2020, once with yeast in 2021, once with canned goods in 2023. Every single time people said they would get around to it next month. Every single time they ended up paying triple the price or going without. What you need to do right now is simple. Go to any grocery store today. Not tomorrow. Today. Get 1 5-pound bag of cream of wheat. Get a jar of pickle relish. Get a 2-pound bag of instant potato flakes. Get a 1-pound bag of nutritional yeast. Get a jar of coconut milk powder. Get whatever you can carry. These items cost less than a coffee run. Seriously, less than $30 gets you started with the foundational items that actually matter. Then come back next week. Get more. Build it gradually. Do not try to stock your entire pantry in one shopping trip. That is how you get noticed, and it is how you clean out the shelves before you finish. Slow, consistent buying is what builds real security. $10 a week adds up to $500 in 3 months. And in 3 months, you will have more actual survival food than someone who spent $1,000 on freeze-dried meals. The third biggest mistake people make is not understanding why these specific items survive shortages. The answer is simple. Because nobody has heard of them, because they sound boring, because they do not fit the image of what people think preppers buy. That is exactly what makes them valuable. When the shelves empty, it is because everyone read the same blogs and bought the same list. But the things I told you about today, the cream of wheat, the shiitake mushrooms, the buttermilk powder, the ghee, these are not on anyone else's list. They will still be there because the masses do not even know they exist. That is your advantage. Right now, at this exact moment, you have information that most people do not have. You know which items are being discontinued. You know why they matter. You know where to find them and what they cost. You know how to use them. That is a massive edge. But that edge only exists for the next 6 weeks. After March, the game changes. Prices go up. Selection disappears. You move from being prepared to being desperate. I want to be really clear about something. I am not saying the world is ending. I am not saying civilization is collapsing. What I am saying is that the supply chain is tightening. Manufacturers are making business decisions. Those decisions mean less selection and higher prices for consumers. That has already started. You can see it if you know where to look. Food costs are up. Shelves have gaps. Certain sizes are disappearing. These are not theories. These are observable facts happening right now. What I am telling you to do is make boring, practical decisions. Buy things that last longer than you will live if stored correctly. Buy things that cost less than the alternatives. Buy things that actually keep you healthy instead of just keeping you full. Buy things that prevent decision fatigue and monotony when life gets hard. That is what this is actually about. Not doomsday, not collapse, just being the kind of person who thinks ahead and does not panic when things get tight. If you actually want to be prepared, you do not need to spend a fortune or become obsessed. You just need to be slightly smarter than average about where you spend your grocery money. You need to shop the international aisle and the discount bins and the bulk sections that most people ignore. You need to read labels and understand what you are buying. You need to spend 10 minutes learning how to store things properly. That is it. That is genuinely all it takes. The hard part is not knowing what to buy. The hard part is actually doing it. The hard part is overriding the voice that says you can do this next month. The hard part is carrying those bags to your storage area and organizing them. The hard part is resisting the urge to panic by the expensive stuff everyone else is buying. But that hard part is where the actual security comes from. Because the people who do the boring work now are the people who sleep well when things get weird. So here's my challenge to you. Go buy one item from this list today. Just one. Spend $10. Then come back here next week and tell me which one you picked and why. Comment below. Let me know. Because when you do that, you are locking in the fact that you actually did something instead of just watching a video and moving on. You are becoming the kind of person who prepares instead of panics. And that matters more than you realize. If you found this useful, if this information actually changed how you are thinking about your pantry, then subscribe, not to inflate my numbers, but because next week I am breaking down the 9 tools that everyone thinks are critical, but are actually useless in a real emergency. The things people spend hundreds of dollars on that do nothing, and the actual tools that matter that cost almost nothing. You do not want to miss that. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you do not miss it. Thank you for watching this far. Seriously, most people stop watching at the first item. The fact that you made it here means you are actually thinking about this instead of just feeling anxious about it. That is the difference between preparation and panic. Stay safe out there, and I will see you next week.